Well, good evening, friends. I'm going to make a little video here. I haven't been on for a while. I start to miss it. And I want to put a video on tonight. I was getting so many emails I couldn't even answer them, so I decided to just lay low for a while. I can't let the Watchtower control my life now that I'm out of it. But to help people who's not in it yet is my concern. Now, what I like to talk about is blood. Parts of blood, which JWs can now take. Now, the reason they can take it is because they were getting so much static, I guess. So they made up this stuff where you could take parts of blood. And knowing that they probably could be sued now if they can take parts of blood by those families who lost loved ones by not taking in a blood transfusion. So, but they keep that low. They don't want people to know all about that, say. But let's talk about parts of blood. What is parts of blood? Well, when you talk about parts of blood, you're talking about things that only medical people can understand. Where do they get this information about blood, parts of, and stuff like that? 8 old men sitting around a table, and they know all about blood. But the doctors that live and do this stuff every day, they don't know. This is what I'm talking about. But now I'm going to lay the cards on the table. If a Jehovah's Witness takes parts of blood, the question then comes up, well, where do those parts come from? Being Jehovah's Witnesses don't donate blood, so where does the parts come from? This is where they get caught with their pants down, because no one will confront them with this question. Where does the parts come from? You don't make them in the laboratory or chemicals. It comes from blood. Where else could it come from? And being Jehovah's Witnesses do not donate blood, one guess where these parts come from. Well, let me say it the way it should be said. It comes from worldly people. Worldly people. Those that are going down at Armageddon. This is where those parts are coming from. Worldly people. Those people that are of what we call gay. Their blood. Taking chances. Now, this is what another thing. Can't you still get AIDS? Just because it's parts? Don't mean you can't get AIDS, can you, JWs? Does that eliminate HIV because it's a part of? It still comes from blood. And for the life of me, how can you in all consciousness take something from someone that you condemn that's going to go down at Armageddon? Worldly people, worldly people. Well, you are a damn hypocrite if you will take parts of blood. You're a hypocrite. You'll take that person's blood you call worldly to keep your butt living, don't you? You'll take that. Yeah. Shame on you. Shame on you for taking a worldly person's blood in your body. Yeah, you say, well, it's not all blood. It's parts of, no. Parts comes from blood. It's still there. Still there. You can't get around it. Can't get around it. You are taking blood donated by worldly people. Worldly people. And these worldly people are the same people that you knock on their doors saying you're going to die at Armageddon unless you come and join us and talk about the good news from door to door. You're going out at Armageddon. You won't be there with us when the new system comes. Yeah. You take their blood, but you don't blow no bugle that you are. You say it's parts of blood. Okay, it's parts of blood, but it came from Joe Smith, the worldly-o that you condemn every day you knock on a door. You take his blood in your body. I don't give a damn what you say. I don't care what you say. It came from worldly people. Worldly people. Worldly people. But your butt wants to keep living, don't you? You want to keep living. So you'll take a worldly person's blood into your body. It had to come from worldly people. It didn't come from no JW. Because you know damn well they don't donate no blood. Shame on you. Shame on you for being a damn hypocrite. A hypocrite. Now the next thing I want to talk to you about is this is the 1973 bound volume Watchtower. I was looking in that, and it's on page 411. This is a smoking gun. See, you know, Watchtower's literature is what's going to kill them. Their own literature is condemning them and killing them. Every day, you can go through any Watchtower bound volume and you can see all the subjects they wrote on that they are now being exposed by their own writings. See, writings is something you can't say, well, I didn't write it. I didn't write it. Yes, you did. You swore to it in your bound volume. Now, I was reading this about, it was in 73 where this article came out. And it was talking about tobacco at that time and things that are harmful to people. How they gave up their homes, they gave up everything that involved tobacco. Some went on welfare, some got jobs that paid half of what they really made on a farm. Or with their conscience, they could not love their neighbor if they were going to grow tobacco. See? So what they did then, they sold their farms and got rid of them. Okay? That's what they did, and boy, did they pay the price. Most of them are gone and dead now, but they paid a price. Most of them went on welfare then. Their lives completely ruined because they believed in men. They believed in those 8 old roosters that are there now. There was 12 at that particular time, I think. But anyway, it's because of these old bent over men had it printed in this bound volume here that you should not have a tobacco farm or we are giving you 6 months to get rid of it. If not, you can't be one of us. You will be disfellowshipped. Well, you know, if you think back about it, that would have been the best damn thing to happen to that farmer, to get disfellowship. That would have been the best thing that could have happened to him, was to get disfellowship. But he sold his farm, went on poverty and anything he could do to live then. But there's one article in here, part of that same thing about loving thy neighbor. Now this one is called Respect for Life. Okay, it says here, in making weapons for destruction, consistent with doing good toward all, would your conscience permit you to share in producing weapons? A man employed by a firm in the United States devoted to producing war components was troubled by this question when he began studying the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. As I continued to study, he explained, I kept thinking that if someone were to ask me where I worked, how could I tell him I love my neighbor when I have part in producing things to hurt other people? So he quit his job, a good paying job too, and he found other employment. Now, I don't mention what other employment is, but that's what it says, other employment. Then there's one here that says, many others have done similarly. A maintenance supervisor on a military installation in Albany, Georgia, found other work because he realized that if he wanted to be a follower of Jesus Christ, now we know what that is, if he wanted to be a Jehovah's Witness or following the crowd up in Brooklyn, it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus Christ, the Prince of Peace, he could no longer be associated with war preparations. Then it brings out the Bible verse that covered that, Isaiah 2:2 and 4. Say, about beating your shears and the pruning shears and so forth. You will practice war no more. Okay. He quit his job. He said, I now do maintenance work elsewhere and receive half the pay I made before. Now, no doubt by you taking half your pay cut, you're hurting your family and yourself. Their future is out the window. But now this is because you were no longer going to work on a place that made weapons. Weapons of war. Okay? But here's the smoking gun. You know that old saying where it's the chickens come home to roost? Now, that is a 990 form. A 990 form is an internal revenue form where people, businesses can take deductions or it shows how much stock you have. You can get it. It's public information, see. So you can get that right on this internet. It says return of organization exempt from income tax. 20,000 shares of Boeing stock bought by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. 20,000 shares. What does the Boeing make? You guessed it. Weapons of war, helicopters, bazookas, anything that a soldier would need, they can make it. Okay, and then there is Honeywell, another military place that makes weapons. They have 100,000 shares. See, that's a good one. That's a good one to have. Then there's Coors Beer Distributor. Coors Beer. If you drink, drink in moderation. Well, if you have stock in a beer-making company and you have thousands of their shares, don't you want that company to make money? Don't you? And the only way they're going to make money is if people don't drink in moderation. Watchtower, you can't have it both ways. Now, you're telling me that if I get drunk on beer, you're going to disfellowship me. Or if I get drinking too many, you're going to disfellowship me. See? But yet, you're making money on me. You're making money. You hypocrite, you. You hypocrite. Coors Beer and Disneyland. You have stock in that. Disneyland, which is a maker of a lot of witches, movies, and there's even Cinemax. You have thousands of shares in that. Soft pornography. Shame on you. Shame on you. And yet, these zombies that knocked on your door, these same zombies don't want to see that. They don't want to hear that. If you tell them that, they're looking straight ahead. They don't hear nothing you say. They hear nothing. They become numb. They become numb. You know, there's one other one I want to touch on, and that's that joke up there in Warwick. That joke, it's a joke. Where is Jehovah's blessings now? Where is Jehovah's blessings? Why, isn't he backing his people, his channel? They got contamination everywhere up there. And from what I hear, they didn't tell the volunteers that are up there working about this contamination. See? But they got word of it now. I don't know what's going on up there now, but you don't hear much about it no more, do you? And yet, that's all you heard one time was Warwick, 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 the symbol of the new system of things. See? But now I got a granddaughter who's mired in this junk, and she's a fanatic, one of them zombies. That's what she is. Now she's crying about the apostates, and Satan is working overtime trying to bring the Watchtower down. Persecution is sinking in now. This contaminated ground they bought was a trick of the devil. Well, I would think Jehovah has more power than the devil. Couldn't Jehovah say, let there not be contamination on my channel's ground, and there wouldn't be no contamination on their ground? Because Jehovah can speak it, and it would be gone, wouldn't it? But maybe they're not really Jehovah's channel. Maybe they're not. And I know they're not. I know they're not Jehovah's channel. In fact, they have ruined that name, Jehovah. They have ruined it. See? So, Warwick, no one knows whether it will ever be completed. But there's one thing about it. They're having a lot of problems with it. That's for damn sure. A lot of problems. And molestation is another one. We all know about that. Except those that go behind those doors. They don't want to know nothing. And even if they heard it, they wouldn't believe it. That's some stuff the apostates made up. You know, the funny thing, how a person can blame someone else. When they got a gun right in their hand, they shot a man. I didn't do it. Somebody else did. He went that way. Yeah. Someone else did it. So if the Watchtower's having problems up at Warwick, someone caused it. See? Someone caused it. You know, when you think about it, at one time, this is for a fact, at one time, the Watchtower had it made. People were coming into that religion in droves because they had no competition. See? They had no competition. But now, boy, in the business world, you have competition. When you go on YouTube now, you see new ones on there every day, cutting a video of how they got their lives messed up in that cult. They're telling their stories now. Joe, Tom, Mickey, Mary, it don't matter what the name is. All over the world, especially in this country, they're bringing it out. All you got to do is cut it on search bar on YouTube. Type it in, those leaving the Watchtower. Just type that in. It's there everywhere. Everywhere. So Watchtower has competition now, boy. Oh, they do. They had everything at one time, and you couldn't do nothing to stop them. It was like a steamroller going down the street, just smashing everything. But that's changed now. That's changed. They're holding on for dear life. Hey? Oh, they thought no one could stop. They're God's people. They're God's channel. But now they're begging money like any other racketeers in that business is doing. That's all it is, a racketeers. That's another thing. They beg for money, but they do it in the back doorway. See? Write on paper of how much you can give each month and turn it in to the elders. See? They don't want to come right out and say, give us $30 every month. We want it every month. That's what they're really saying. But they don't say it that way. Just a different way, that's all. We have more going out that's coming in. That's what one of them governing body people said. We got more going out that's coming in. Well, we all have that problem, don't we? We, average working people, we have that problem too. What I would say is this here, governing body, watch what you're paying out, like anybody else has to do. And you are cutting back, I noticed that. You're cutting back on your 2 magazines, you cut that in half. Well, you ain't told your zombies why you cut it in half. See? And there's another thing. You know, the ministry school. You know, I liked the ministry school when I was in it. They did teach you how to talk and how to emphasize on certain key words, how to drive a point home. I remember that. That was good for help these youngsters that learn how to talk. But they done away with that now. But they never told us why. They never told us why. Why would you get rid of something that's good? But now I found out why. I found out what has happened is that being they have all this molestation stuff going on, some states now requires any organization that has a school that involves young people, especially those under 15 or whatever, that they have to go by a board and qualify on your background, the elders. They would have to pass certain tests to even qualify to have a school that teaches and deals with kids. Okay? This is why they did away with the ministry school. But you won't hear them say that, though. They'll tell you that Jehovah gave us a newer thing to do that was better. He did? He did? What did he give you? I don't even know what he gave you. And whatever it was, I don't even know the name of it. But it won't like the ministry school. No. Don't tell me. I learned on the ministry school myself. Okay. Driving the point home. That was one of my best ones that I loved. Drive that point home. And when I say that the Watchtower is misleading people, they are a business. They are a business. If they weren't a business, they wouldn't have stock, would they? If they were not a business. It is a business, and they have so much stock, but they don't let nobody know it. But it's on this computer. Public information. You can get it. You can get it. There is one brother who has this, not a brother, but he has this here information where you can find all that. I forget the brother's name or the fellow's name. Zelbo, I think Zelbo's his name. But he's got all that information. He's the one that broke this stuff on the Watchtower. But all you got to type in the search bar is Watchtower investments. That's all you got to do. We don't need nobody else. Just type that in. You'll see it. See it for yourself. So, friends, I'm going to close for now. And I'll be cutting another video sometime. But as for now, I want to say good night. And whatever you do, when you're dealing with the Watchtower, use common sense. Use common sense. Thank you, friends, and good night.